Hello, my name's Julie Williams. I'm a registered migration agent with Migration Downunder, and I just want to say Happy New Year. Although we're nearly into finished the first month of 2021, let's hope it is a new year for all of you. As I know, 2020 was quite concerning, especially for those that have been separated through our international border closures, and we'd like to think that 2021 is going to be a better one for all of us. So that's what I thought I'd touch base with you all, just to update you on our borders and travel bans, etc. Unfortunately, there is no change as far as temporary residents being able to come into Australia. There is still a travel ban. There are exemptions for certain categories of people, and you're best to go and visit the Department of Home Affairs website to find out all the latest details, because this does change on a regular basis. But basically it has remained the same as far as temporary residents that have been stuck overseas with perhaps a 457 or a 482 visa. Unless you're in an area of critical need, you're still not permitted and won't get a travel exemption to return. As well as parents. I know there's been a lot of inquiries from people wishing to have their parents here. So unfortunately for parents, you are also still excluded from travelling into Australia. Partners are, if you're living together with your partner overseas, you've got evidence of a de facto or married relationship, then by all means you are able to get an exemption to travel into Australia. And sometimes there are exemptions for partners that have been together in a de facto or married relationship for some time and have just been separated due to COVID. There's also exemptions to get those people back here in Australia as well. There's still restrictions to the numbers of people being able to enter Australia. So even though you've had a visa, permanent residency granted, or a travel exemption, the difficulty is going to be securing a flight. There's lots of flights out there to be able to be booked, but whether they go ahead is another matter. A lot of them are being cancelled because of the very tight restrictions in numbers that the Australian government are putting on the arrivals each day and each week. Means that there are many flights that are cancelled at the last minute. So just be aware, whilst you might have a travel exemption and the visa to be able to enter Australia, the difficulty is securing a flight. You also now, there's additional requirements before you do board a flight that you have been tested for COVID and have a negative result. And once you do arrive in Australia, irrespective of whether that result has been negative or positive, or if it's positive, sorry, you won't be able to come in until you do get a clear test. You still have to do the mandatory quarantine here, hotel quarantine in Australia. So the mandatory hotel quarantine still remains, that is 2 weeks, and that does come with a cost. At the moment, I believe it's 3,000 Australian dollars for an individual and $5,000 for a couple. I'm unsure as to what that is for a family. It may still be $5,000, but that is still payable. So in regards to what's going to happen in the future, it all depends on how the globe, how the world is going to cope with this second infection or second wave of infections, especially the UK and the US and Brazil have got it quite bad at the moment. Other countries have got it less so. So until all the rest of the world can start reducing the numbers of the coronavirus, and until a vaccine, whilst it is starting to be rolled out in different parts of the world, and we're going to see it rolled out in Australia, I think as early as March, there's still going to be delays before borders are opening to everybody until I guess the pandemic has subsided and the vaccine shows that it is actually working. So in regards to partner visas, we still get a lot of questions about subclass 300 visas, which are the prospective marriage visa. Look, they are still being processed, they are being looked at. They are just not being granted at the moment because 300 visa holders, unless you can get a travel exemption, cannot travel to Australia. And the only way to get your 300 granted is if you do apply for a travel exemption And if the travel exemption is approved, then that will be linked with a 300 visa. 300 visa will be granted and you'll be able to enter Australia. However, the travel exemption is the key. You're not necessarily going to meet the criteria for a travel exemption if you haven't and aren't living together as a de facto couple. So that travel exemption is the key and not necessarily going to be granted. Only very few set of circumstances will that be permitted. But look, continue if you don't already, subscribe to our social media channels, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we will continue to keep you regularly updated with news and information as it comes to hand. In regards to other types of visas, I know we're getting a lot of inquiries about students. Overseas students are still not permitted in. There was a trial with a few that already held visas, but new student applicants offshore, it's not going to happen. The general skilled migration, unless you've got an employer sponsoring you, then the independent pathway is not an option for you at the moment for offshore. The invitation round is also changing from monthly to every 3 months. So that is also going to, I guess, delay the process of those critical skilled workers that wish to come in. It is going to be a little bit slower. So again, the skilled migration independent pathway is really only open to critical skilled and mainly critical skilled here in Australia, because the key is they want to see that people are employed. So the priority is for those that are already here in Australia. So unfortunately, unless you've got an employer sponsoring you in an area of critical need, it's not likely to be granted while our borders remain closed. The priority at the moment for the Australian government are for people here in Australia, and providing and the partner visas are a priority as well, mainly the onshore, but also we are seeing offshore applications being processed as well. And then the other priority is employer-sponsored visas, particularly in the critical skills sector. So really there's no changes, major changes to that, but as I say, it does evolve as the pandemic evolves and hopefully it subsides. And once that subsides, then we look forward to a lot more restrictions being lifted as far as visas are concerned. But look, any more information, do go through our social media channels. We've got lots of different sections there. We do have webinars for specific areas of visas that you may be interested in. And we also have a very updated website. So if you want further information, I do encourage you to look at our website and our social media channels. But otherwise, if you do want to actually feel that you do meet the criteria for a visa, by all means book in for a paid consultation. We'll be happy to help with you more.